everybody. How are you doing? I just wanted to have some fun today, and I know the world is burning and there's a lot of crap going on and it's depressing, and I can look at that and I can get more depressed and know that the world is going down the toilet, or I can just go down another rabbit hole, and that's what I want to do, and I want to take you guys along with me. So let's enjoy. And the rabbit hole that I want to take you down is, you guys know that I look at mud floods and giants and petrification and all of that wonderful stuff that just keeps my mind a little bit less looking on what's going on around the world. Makes me think that in my little corner of the world that things are a little bit normal, and so that is where I am. And so what I want to do is look into a little different part of petrification, or at least what I think is petrification. I'm sure every one of you are familiar with Medusa and the story of Medusa. I went looking on the internet for this story and I found there was quite a few. The one where I know best is where Poseidon took Medusa, and she was a beautiful woman, took her and raped her. And when his wife found out about it, instead of cursing him or doing something to him, Medusa was doubly abused because she turned her into a snakehead woman that would turn anyone that looked upon her into stone. And so we've got a lot of depictions of Medusa all over the place, like this one. As you look at it, it doesn't look like she is a vicious creature. There's other ones too that talk about her to be one of three sisters, and she was the only one that was not an immortal. The rest of them were immortals, and she was actually she was a human. And then, of course, Perseus comes along and cuts off her head, and that's the end of Medusa. Or the legend actually tells us that he uses her head and he puts it in a bag. I mean, have you guys watched any of these movies, with Medusa? Puts her in a bag, and he uses her to win battles by just pulling her out and not looking at her herself, because anybody who looked at Medusa, looked her in the eyes, would turn to stone. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. Was there technology in the past that turned people to stone? So I've been collecting a lot of pictures of beautiful statues. So if you go into my Pinterest, you will find that. Like this one. And it is a beautiful statue. Look at all of the details of her, even down to her feet. Look at the toes. And the dress, how it's folded around. Let's go to the hands, the hair, the expression on the face. You can see the muscles, you can see the bones in the hands going down the elbow, the dimple in the elbow. Just even where the breast curves, and you've got a little dip in here. And they're saying that this statue was made out of one piece of solid rock. That they started at one point. And think about this. I am an artist. I'm not the best artist out there, and I don't work with stone. I've never done this type of artistry. But I do paint and I do other things, and I've done sculptures and stuff like that, but I haven't worked with stone. I haven't done this kind of a thing. But I'm amazed that you would be able to do that, and because one little tiny shatter, like of the fingernail, or putting this in, would ruin the whole statue, and you'd have to start all over again. So you wouldn't be able to do this. It seems actually impossible to me, and I am an artist. But let's look at some of the other statues. Like this one, you can see this one Medusa. You know, you can tell that would have been a bronze casting of a statue, right? And it's very easy. And I know that you can cast statues, you can put them in like cement, you can make a cast out of somebody's face or their whole body, and then you can pour, right? So I do know that there is that. But the statues that we are looking at, it says like here, marble statue veiled of the Virgin. Was that really a statue? Was that really a marble that they carved? And you could get the lashes in there and the eyebrows. Look at this. Look at the details on the hair underneath and the neck. Today, something like this would be done through 3D printing. It would not be done through, look at this one. You wouldn't be able to do it in one piece. Look at these ones. These are great. You go to Europe and they're littered with statues like this, with beds and everything. The bed's made and people on them. Yes, this is an angel, and you're saying, well, that can't be it. It's got to be a statue if it's an angel, but we don't know what's been here before. We don't know what kind of creatures there have been on this earth, but look at this. These ones. Look at that. I mean, you see a face, you see expression and pain and sadness, and I'm not saying that you can't capture those on, but why would they make a statue like this girl? You know, with her hand up in the air, sitting down there, and look at her feet and just all the fabric. You've got to take a look at the details. And to carve that out of one piece of stone, or this one, like, what's up with that? Like, why would they have that? Shoes, everything carved out of one piece of stone. And this is another burial statue of a little boy. Is that really a statue? Or could possibly they had some type of, I'm throwing ideas out. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm telling you, these are my thoughts when I'm looking at this. What are we looking at? Are we looking at really just artistry of some, Michelangelo, and he's out there just carving away at all the stones, and he makes everything perfect because there's so many of them all over, especially Europe is crowded with statues. Look at the lace. Like, you've got to pay attention to what you're really, really seeing. Is this really a statue? Is this really a piece of marble? Or could it be 3D printing? Could this be ancient technology that we've just rediscovered? But that has been here before. Just like my last videos, right? Like, look at this one, this lady. If I can get those two out here. Look at that. Look at them. In horror, like they were caught in a death grip right before something horrendous happened to them. Or these girls. I know there is the idea of the mud floods because petrification can happen very quickly in a mud flood. And I showed you that in my video. Just give me a second here. Oh, well, I'm not going to pull that up right now, the video. But I do have a video on the mud floods, about Noah's Ark, and just about the giants that you see in mountains and stuff, and how easily petrification can happen. It can happen actually in a very short time, within weeks. But these aren't really statues or people that you would think that took weeks. When you look in those girls, this is like something, a beam hit them if they were people and they were petrified. It would be like a Medusa. It would be some type of a technology, or, that would have created an instant freezing of a human being. And then this baby too, right? You see what I'm trying to say, what I'm seeing? Especially these ones. These ones are crazy. But you get all these ones that got veils, like this. I don't know. What do you think? What are you seeing when you're seeing this? Look at again, the lace work on that. Or this child. And I know you can make things like this. So I'm not denying that. But I'm denying about what I am saying is this truly what we're looking at? Is it really just an amazing artist back in those days? And how did they have such amazing artists, honestly, that could create something like that, but yet they didn't have running water and they threw their waste out the windows? And they drove around in wooden wagons with wooden tires, like nothing Stone Age, just really Stone Age people, like Iron Age, that we're saying, that created these magnificent pieces of, are they art? Is that art? What do you think? Like this, look at this. The hands are crazy. The veins in the hands, it's like, there's one thing about Rh negative people. We have our veins are on the top of the dermis, not as far under the layers. So you get a lot of these veins that happen, Rh negative there. If you want to find somebody who has Rh negative blood, typically you're going to see them, they're going to have veins like this all over their hands. But look at the detail of this. Like I said, one miss, and this is gone. All of this is gone. Every bit of that is gone. So, I don't know, guys. I'm thinking that there is something more here. There's no way that this society that had so little of anything was making statues that looked like a sleeping boy or hands or somebody in pain and full size, like this woman. Look at this mom with her babies. This is one that I used before, I showed before. I can see that one again. That looks like it's a frozen. When I used to watch the movies, there was a number of them whenever they had Medusa. I remember there was this one where it was like modern day, but they found the head of Medusa, and they went through this place where they give ideas all the time. They went through this where you get a headstone, and they had all of these statues in here, and the statues ended up finding out that everybody who came in there looking for a headstone became a statue because they had a Medusa there. That's what was running that place, and it was just to catch them. Now look at these. It's crazy to say that. Oh, here's a good one. Look at this girl and all the flowers and everything. Or this one. Again, the beds. Some of them they put up like as if it's Jesus, like this one. They're showing us, okay, that's Jesus. Well, they could set up somebody that just recently died and did this, or they could 3D print. There's nothing new under the sun, honestly, people. This is what I'm finding as I keep on going down rabbit holes. Rabbit holes just keep on telling me that what we know today to be real is anything but. That's too bad I can't get a hold of that one. There we go. Look at, see this little guy? Look at this little guy with the dog. It's kind of crazy, eh? Let's see if I can open this one up. So how are you guys doing today? Are you in a good mood? Is things going great? I hope things are going good for you guys. Have you liked and shared this? Look at this old lady here. Honestly, who would make that? What would be the purpose of doing a statue that would take that much detail of an old crony lady? Like, who was she? Was she so famous? And why would they put her in a pose like that? Because that pose kind of looks demeaning. You know, so if they're going to go to that much, are they just trying to come up with realization or something that's real looking? And what would be the reason of doing all of these children? There you go. Homage to the dead. Isn't that crazy? Oh, look at this one. Look at her head. All wrapped up, burial wrapped up. That's what they look like. They look like they've been, their shroud is on, and then they were petrified at that point. And the purpose of this one? Like, what would you just, I guess, you know, to make everything look scary? I don't know. But a whole lot of time has to go into things like that, right? Like this girl. These are like, it looks like Europe, hey? These ones, these statues. All the curves in the back. It's gorgeous. Look at that. I don't know. What is going on, people? What are we seeing? Again, look at everything. The wet hair, it looks like she came out of. And the nose, like there's so much detail of real life. If you just added some color to her, she'd be real. And grieving. Look at this one, the sad. Again, everything. This one, look at all the stuff that they have around this girl. And this one looks like it has been really weather beaten, but you know, what were they doing? Making beds. They've got so many things on here. I believe this one is totally petrified. A petrified human. The whole thing is petrified. But that's just my belief. That's my thought. Now that's a bronze, right? Like, so that we know how to cast bronze. That's what this is. This is like one from like probably the First, Second World War. So that would be, I expect we would see that today, right? Well, even when I paint, I don't have the time or the energy to go into great detail like this. Like, it's crazy detail that they're putting into this to think that it's just all one piece of marble. You know, just the beadwork. The beadwork. Do you see, you know, where it's broke off or anything on the beadwork or the flowers? Let's look at the flowers. I hope that this is coming through okay. My internet is not necessarily working really great, so hopefully it's coming through clear and you can see it nicely. So what do you think, guys? Is this just statues, or is there a little Medusa happening here? Like, again, look at this girl. Look at this girl. Why is that doing that? Here we go. Look at her. Everything. It looked like there might have been some breaking on the fingers. That one does look like something did, and they tried repairing it, if you can see that. In the fingers there, right in here. But she looks real. And look, she even has a cut on her mouth. Just exploring. I don't know what I'm looking at. I just know that the people that were, these are in ancient. Here we go. There's a bronze one again. This would have been a newer one, 2002, 2000 to 2002. We know we can do that. So there's pouring, right? Like there's a mold, there's pouring. So could these be the same thing? Could they be pouring, but with a different type of a medium, like this girl here? Or could it be 3D printing? Because they can do this right now. They can do this with 3D printing. Of course, it's not going to be marble. But maybe marble is what ends up happening when you use some form of petrification Medusa, that it mineralizes it very quickly and makes it into a marble. So when they test it, that's what they're testing. And there is so many that are of angels. I don't know about you guys, I personally do believe that there are angels that fly, and it's not just a myth. And I think that we are going to see them. So some of the angels could have been caught too, or maybe those are all just molds. But these are ancient. Look at this. These are ancient. Look at how perfect this is. Look at this. Perfect. Perfect. Like it's wax. Absolutely polished. The ear. Look at the ear. There's like the skin is magnificent. Did you hear what happens when the people take this? What is it? HGH? I think it's called. I could be wrong about the middle letter, but it's this growth hormone that they're taking a lot of at the athletic state. And one of the things that it does is it gives you perfectly polished looking skin. Makes you look really young and beautiful. But the problem is it also makes you bound up and really strong. And your muscles grow, and that's why the athletes go. But that's why I've been told or understood why so many athletes like Bruce Jenner, because it uses up all of your testosterone. So the men, by the time that they finish dousing themselves with these hormones, they become female. They have no more testosterone, and their bodies are confused. And this is not, what I'm telling you there is not, this isn't my imagination. This is what actually they say happens to them. Their testosterone goes down, and they're confused. They don't know who they are anymore. That's why dousing yourself is never a good idea. It ruins who you are, changes who you are. Look at this woman. Magnificent. I mean, these things are exquisitely beautiful, right? But you gotta remember again the day and the time when these people were doing these statues, when these statues were being created. Was in a time when we didn't have any technology. When they say we didn't have electricity, which we know from the Tic Tac, on top of all of the buildings, the ancient technology, like the crosses and all of the rods that are on the top of the buildings when we look back in the old pictures, showing that they had electricity, and the one that I showed you last time about using the bollock on the fire hydrant, because at one time the whole world had free electricity. This one is really good. Let's see if I can get this one here. Here you go. Look at this. Come on, people. Is this all they had time for? It was like to sculpt. And then when it broke, and when a wing broke off, they started all over again. And then the baby's nose broke off, and they started all over again. And then the finger fell off, and they started all over again. And it was probably about 1,000 times that they tried carving this to get that. Like, these are newer, right? Like, these are casts. You can see a cast. Casts are very... You can tell the difference between a cast and what I'm talking about. I have a picture of my little 2-year-old wearing shoes like that. So, we make things like this right now, right? Because we have technology, and we make that, right? Because we can do those kind of things. Because we have electricity, so we can do this. And this is like 1910 to 19, I don't know, it's just saying. So I'm saying this would be a cast. This is, again, a cast, because it's cast iron, literally. But we see ones like this all over the place with this polished, in perfect detail. Look at the dimple in the butt and the wings and how unperfect they are. And the hair and the blanket and the legs. How were they doing that 400 or 500 years ago? Without technology. How are they doing any of this, people, without technology? This one totally looks like it's somebody that has been frozen, Medusa'd, and even him, he looks like he had been struck. And he was just looking at the person that was aiming it at him. Look at the veins in his arms and his belly. And the veins under the skin. You can see the veins under the skin. Greek art, they're saying. Okay, supposed to be Poseidon. Okay. I don't know. This is so bizarre. If you guys have any idea, I think this is a modern one that they did, which is a 3D printed. So you get that? See what I'm saying? Like the 3D printed, like it looks like these ones. Those ones that I was showing you earlier. But then you get ones like this that defy artistry. Again, pushing down where the fingers are. Like, come on. It's in a death grip. It was at that moment. Like this one. Yeah. Right? Look at this. How could they accomplish that? If you know how that's done, and if you think that that you figure this all out and you've looked at this information and I'm just all full of it, please let me know, because I'm just going by what I'm looking at, and I know that what I understand about the past, we shouldn't be seeing anything like this from them. They shouldn't have been able to do that. And if these people lived to the length that we've been told that they lived, 40 years, because, they tell us that we're so much more advanced now. We're growing into wonderfulness instead of degrading. And so we had like 40 years we lived back then. And in 40 years, we knocked out stuff like this with a chisel and a hammer. And we were able to get like right in there. Look at these beads. You can see the little individuals. Come on. I'm just saying. There's something more going on here. These are technologies. You're going to find busts like this all over the place. See, this is a new one. Somebody's saying that they made this one recently. Okay. And it's got a lot of this flow in it and like the hair and stuff coming across. And I don't know. They're saying they sculpted it. And if they did, that's amazing. So maybe it is possible. But did he do this without any tools? Without any electricity? I mean, this artist does have a number of Or is this artist freezing people and he's just saying that he's molding them? I don't know. Because I know a lot of stuff that we're seeing right now is fakery. Look at her face. Use your logic with this, but these are pretty amazing. These are pretty crazy to think that this is what you were doing hundreds and hundreds of years ago when people were starving to death and when they were living to 40 years old and all they had was chisels and hammers. You know. Now we're getting into more modern art. Let's get out of here. Okay, this piece said that it was made in 1627. 1627. What were we doing back in 1627? What advanced technology did we have in 1627 that could create this and these? Look at this one. Look at that. Look at all of that stuff. She's magnificent. All of the beadwork and well, this is just something for you to think about. There obviously was lost technology when it came to our statues that are still, for some reason, they haven't destroyed a lot of them, which is amazing. So we still have this to look back on. Well, they call it the Renaissance, right? You know, people that were masters at many different techniques. And, oh, look at this one. This one is just phenomenal. Look at the braiding on the hair and everything. I'm just still like, it could be all artists, but I'm going to tell you, we've lost the technique to be able to do this and to be able to do it in the volume that they were doing if it was done with no electricity, with nothing. If it was just done with a chisel and clay. Yes, clay. We can do clay, right? That's what we were looking at with those other ones. They were clay. So they were sculptors. My granddaughter she can sculpt. And out of clay, and she can make some really amazing things out of clay. So she could do this in clay, but she couldn't do this in stonework. And these are stone. These are stone. Look at this one right here. So there is this theory that's going around about the end of days and that the giants are actually just frozen and waiting for the time that they will be released from this. And the melting away will happen and these dead that we see in these pictures will come back to life. I know it's a crazy concept, but I've heard that a number of times by some pretty cool truthers thinking that, you know, there's a possibility what we're looking at are truly frozen people, some of them. And if that whole theory or legend that one day they will rise again, I don't know. Tell me what you think, guys. Tell me what you think. Is that what we're looking at? People that were frozen. See, this is an artist here. Well, this is clay, right? It's beautiful. It's magnificent. I mean, like, obviously, that person really is an amazing artist, but it's not in stone. I made a mistake. It wasn't Perseus who raped Medusa. It was Perseus who killed Medusa. So if I said that earlier, please excuse my misspeaking. Now, I'm not saying that Medusa is one of those. And you can kind of see how this was in layered, this one piece of art. Look at this one. What is that? Almost looks like a half robotic, half demon, right? Half angel. Very crazy. I know this is a very ancient one. This is like in the 1600s as well. Crazy, crazy statue. Look at them all. This, I think, was on the Crystal Palace, these ones. One that they actually tore down so that they built in a few years this magnificent stuff with all of these magnificent statues. Another lie that they told us, and then they tear it down. That's what they do. It's what they do all the time. They destroy the past. This is like, this gold one is like what was on top of, I don't know if it's still, but they said that there was this, the gold top was on the top of the Mormon Tabernacle in Salt Lake City. I don't know, maybe that is it. And truly, there are some crazy statues around the world that are giants, that are just crazy. Let me see if I can find some. Like this one. Now, I'm not saying that this is frozen, people. We know that these things were made with metal and they've got a structure to them, but they're gigantic statues, and they have been here for a long time. They were not made by us. Well, maybe some of them were, but look at them all over the place. Here you go. Here are some of the comparisons of these statues. The heights of them. That's crazy, isn't it? Here is the Eiffel Tower. I mean, not the Eiffel Tower, Statue of Liberty. I mean, the Eiffel Tower isn't even in here, but well, I guess it's not really a statue. It's a power station for flying machines. Look at all of these. The heights of them is crazy. And this one. And this one. Look at that. Has he got bangs? I think it is. Crazy. Statues all over. Most of us are familiar with these ones, like the Buddha or whatever they are, you know. But they're all over. Magnificent statues are all over, guys. Even look at this one. You can see this thing right here. Look at this. The statues that are in here. This definitely is a mud-flooded area. Obviously, this whole area is fallen apart after, because they didn't just go and crawl up here on this rock and create that. Please don't think that. Don't think that when you're looking at stuff like this, that it was just like that way, because it truly was not like that way. Those are destructions that happened, a mud flood that happened, and this is the only thing that survived. I would not go up in that, would you? These ones are really cool. Look at this. I mean, all of these statues, they give dates and they tell you that they were made, you know, by this person and by that person. I'm going to tell you, I don't believe a word of most of what I read on these things. I think they're all made up because they found these things the way they were, and they just want to take credit for it. I love this one in India, you know. Yeah, like they just started carving it out and whoever was carving it forgot the rest of it. No. I don't know what happened there, but that doesn't seem right. This seems like something really got piled on top, and then after time it got moved. Here's another one where the building is still left intact. There's a bunch more. Well, I think we're about at the end. I'm going to leave it here. There's so much I could go on for so long. There's so many amazing statues that are littering our world to show that we had some form of technology, either through 3D printing. Of course, not this one. Oh, before I go, I do want to talk about these armies of soldiers, the thousands, and not one face looks like another. And they are just all over, like the Medusa effect. That's what I think we're seeing. Caught in a moment of time. Caught in a moment of time. Look at the horses. They say that they just, they made all of these statues and then they buried them. Right like this. Look, they just buried them all in here. And they say it was a tribute to, one of their kings, one of their emperors. Yada, yada, yada. I'm going to say this is people got caught in a Medusa effect. You don't have to believe what I say. Take some look around, see what you think about this stuff. But, it's pretty crazy. So I'm going to leave you there because I could go on forever. This is so interesting looking at this stuff, and I probably will bore you to death. So I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to let you enjoy the day. And please, I hope that you guys all have a blessed day. Please share this out if you find this to be interesting. Live in love and light. Talk to you later.